Welcome to the business of beauty. We are so excited. My co-hosts and I are going to be sharing with you some insider tips on creating a side gig and a plan B. And I just want to start this conversation by quickly introducing myself. My name is Stacey Roney, and I have been in the beauty industry for over 25 years. And like many of you that are watching, I have seen a lot of changes in this industry. And a lot of those changes are things that we never in a million years thought we would see happen in the beauty industry. So let's take a little bit of quick look back at some of the things that have happened. Like, for example, when prestige brands started to launch on QVC and HSN. Never did we think we would see brands like Bobbi Brown or Smashbox alongside Ron Popeil Pocket Fisherman, right? We all thought that, infomercials were really, really cheesy. But let's face it, it has become a huge form of distribution for top beauty brands. Let's also think back to when companies like Nordstrom or Sephora launched that open sell environment. We were all freaking out because we thought it was going to become just a free-for-all and people were going to be stealing product left and right when we didn't have it encased behind that glass counter. Let's also talk about just Botox nowadays, right? You can get your Botox at a dentist's office, like never. Well, and I still would never do that, but let's face it, people do that, and we never thought we would see the day that would happen. And lastly, blow dry bars. I mean, I remember when my grandmother used to go get her hair styled, and that was the old days, right? Who would have thought that people would go in and pay money to have their hair blown out? And just most recently, I saw come across on my feed that Chanel is now launching beauty at Ulta. Never did we think we would see these top prestige brands in stores like Ulta, right? So we need to be open-minded. And I know a lot of people and a lot of brands are very resistant to change. But let's face it, in this day and age, we all need to be very open-minded or we are going to be left behind. And so tonight we're going to share with you a little bit about our side gig. And for many of us, our side gigs have become our main gigs. And so I encourage you to really be open-minded tonight and think about what side gigs might be appealing to you. And let me just give you a little bit of advice. If you're looking at some side gigs, some of the things that you're going to want to consider, first and foremost, what are you passionate about? Find a product or service that you can get behind, and also a brand that you respect. Secondly, look for an industry that is growing, right? Obviously, being in the beauty industry, getting in with a company that is, skincare, anti-aging. Anti-aging is one of the biggest, most recession-proof industries. Look for a product that is consumable and replenishable. Find a side gig that's flexible enough that you can really work it around your family and your current day job. And lastly, find one that has the potential that you could actually earn more with your side gig than you could even earn in your day job. So that it does provide you with a plan B. So let me give you a little bit about my story. I started my career with Nordstrom. I was a cosmetic buyer for Nordstrom, and I loved my job. But Nordstrom made the decision to move all of their offices to Seattle. And I was not interested in relocating from Chicago to Seattle. And so I knew I had to make a change. And I decided to launch my own business. And I became an entrepreneur. And I started a very successful nationwide staffing agency for people in the beauty industry called Beauty on Call. And I was providing freelance staff to retailers, to cosmetic companies, for weddings, for spa events, corporate functions, you name it. And as much as I loved what I was doing, there were certain things that I didn't love. And I really had to wear all hats. I was a jack of all trades. And so I wasn't able to focus all of my attention on marketing and business development and training because I was doing everything else. At the time, my husband was a successful real estate developer, and he was really the main breadwinner. But when the economy crashed, we lost everything. And so it was really up to me to bring in additional income until the real estate market came back. And I didn't know how to do that because I was trading time for money and I could not physically work any more hours in the day. I had already launched several other companies, including a PR agency, an online magazine called Lost and Found, a Facebook group called the Beauty Scout that would allow people to find freelance gigs, and I was an executive level recruiter. So I just didn't know where I was going to find the time. But when I was actually approached by a friend of mine, who you'll hear from next, she had reached out to me to see if I would be interested in giving her some referrals for a business that she was building. And when she shared with me that she was working a business from home, an online business, I became intrigued because I knew that she was really smart, she was very savvy, she had been very successful, and she knew the industry. And so I took a look and I decided to jump in. And I started an online e-commerce business alongside my crazy busy career. I was already working 65 hours a week. I did not come from a sales background, but I knew the opportunity to partner with an iconic brand was just what I was looking for. And so I paired up with Rodan and Fields. I knew Rodan and Fields because I was one of the buyers that launched the company at Nordstrom. The brand started in high-end department stores, but as we all know, people's purchasing decisions have really become dependent on the recommendations of other people, not so much an ad in a magazine anymore. And as foot traffic had started to decrease in retail, they knew that the smartest thing would be to transition over to an e-commerce platform and simply put the products in the hands of the customers who were using them, seeing the results, and telling people. And so at that moment, I jumped on board, and within 3 years of doing it very part-time, I replaced my previous income. Now, my results are not the same for everybody. And so, you'll have to look at our information on our income, but that's my personal story. And now, after 7 years with the company, I have also retired my husband, which has been an incredible journey. We're able to really build a business alongside raising our kids. So next, I want to turn it over to my personal business partner, who introduced me to this incredible opportunity, Rose Gallo Rojas. Rose?
Thank you, Stacy. I'm so excited to be on this webinar tonight because the people on this webinar are my people. They are the people that have built their brands that they're working for decades. They're the ones that have been in the trenches doing the work and feeling the sweat on their brow. And, the industry was a blast 10, 15 years ago. People were spending money. We had lots of resources and events and things that we could do to really build our business. But, 8, 9 years ago, when the economy crashed, things were very, very different and still are. I was actually a corporate employee in the beauty industry for over 20 years. And that blood, sweat, and tears that you all have witnessed and felt was the way that I climbed that corporate ladder. And I got to a VP level. I was VP at Smashbox and then went on to H2O. And it was great because I made a lot of money. I made really good money. But every rung of that ladder that I climbed, I had golden handcuffs because each rung meant more responsibility, more stress, more time, more travel. And it really wore on me, especially when the economy started to weaken. And in 2009, when everything got really ugly, and I'm sure everyone that's listening and watching tonight has been affected by that, the company that I had been with for 8 years reorganized and I was downsized. And I didn't see it coming, right? I was good at what I did. I'm not bragging, but I worked really hard. And it wasn't something that I anticipated. And when that happened, it was a huge turning point in my life and in my career, because I realized that day that I would never feel comfortable working for someone else, because at the end of the day, they sign my paycheck. So they own me. They control my future, my family's future. I had two daughters going into college, and my husband and I were facing retirement in a few years. And so I really started to think out of the box. And I started to wonder if there was something I could do that I could work for myself and make my own money without investing tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars, or have employees or a store, an inventory. And my side gig kind of came across my lap, not through someone that I knew, but actually it was just through a post on LinkedIn. And as I started to explore the opportunity, it was kind of a no-brainer, because it was a few $100s to get started. And all I had to do was share the business and the product with people. And if they wanted to try it, great. And if not, no worries, right? Because this is really not about convincing someone that it's right. It's about finding people that are looking for something a little bit different than their 9 to 5. And so within 3 years, I was earning six figures. And now I've been doing this almost 9. And I make more in 5 months than I used to in a year. And I work way less hours than I used to back then. So no more golden handcuffs. I have time freedom. I have financial freedom. I have a wonderful group of men and women that I absolutely love working with. And I just think that if you're on this webinar tonight and you're wondering what your life is going to be like in 2 years, in 3 years, and 5 years, sometimes you have to take a little bit of a leap of faith. Just like as Stacy said, brands went on QVC and on HSN. That was a huge leap of faith. When we launched Smashbox on QVC, Nordstrom was going to close us down, but it absolutely changed our business for the better. And so that little leap of faith, that willingness to take a chance and go in a new direction, proved to be the best thing that we could have done. And so I'm really glad that you're here tonight listening and opening your eyes and minds to what's possible when you are no longer trading time for money. There's nothing like passive income. And like Stacy said, our results isn't the results of 100% of the people that do this business, but if we can do it, you can do it. And, it's just been so life-changing. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jeanette Kemble, who is a very successful and very sought after hairstylist, entrepreneur in the city of Chicago. So Jeanette.
Hi, thanks, Rose. Hi, everybody. So my name is Jeanette Kemble, and I have been a hairstylist for 22 years, and I've owned my salon in Chicago for 10 years. And I was first introduced to Rodan & Fields by one of my clients. We had a lot in common. I had such respect for her. She was a full-time working mom to 4 kids, and she was also the breadwinner for her family. And when she told me about a business that she had started, that she was making a stream of income without trading time for money, I was definitely intrigued. As far as I knew it, being a stylist, the only way for me to make more money was to stand longer hours behind the chair and add more days to my schedule. And even though I loved my job and my clients, my reality was that I worked late nights and weekends. I didn't get sick pay, I didn't get vacation pay, and my salon relies so heavily on my revenue behind the chair to cover overhead costs that there really was no end in sight for me to work less hours. I always like to joke that opening my own salon was like buying myself a job. So I decided that I really didn't have anything to lose by taking a chance on this business. I absolutely love the products. And I saw my own great results so quickly that it was so easy to share them with my clients while they were sitting in the salon, while I was doing their hair. And I was easily able to talk about the business that I was so excited about. And those of us in the beauty business who deal with clients, we have such an advantage because we constantly have a rotating captive audience, and our clients already trust our personal recommendations on products. So it really was a win-win. My personal situation did change since first starting my Rodan and Fields business, and I'm now a single mom. And this business has changed my life in such a short amount of time that I'm no longer paying a sitter to put my son to bed at night, and I'm not missing out on extracurriculars for him or other important life events of my friends and family because I'm chained to my salon chair every weekend. And I just feel so lucky. This has really given me the time freedom that I was craving. And when I decide to hang up my blow dryer and my shears and retire, I will have the financial backing to do so way before I ever thought possible. So I just want to say thanks so much for having an open mind and tuning into this. And with that, I am going to introduce a beauty blogger, Nicole Pearl Kaplan.
Hi, thank you, Jeanette. So I am a former national magazine beauty editor. I lived in New York and worked for major magazines for many years. And then I met my husband, who was living in Chicago, relocated, and quickly realized that the editorial opportunities in Chicago are just not as vast as they are in New York. So with that, I had to reinvent myself, and I started my blog, The Beauty Girl. I love blogging. It's really fun. I met wonderful people. The events are great. Products are great. But realistically, for me, blogging is a business, and it's a really competitive space. And I dedicated 24/7 to it, and it's always on my mind. If I am not checking my email, you don't want to miss an opportunity. And then when I started to have children, and I was thinking about, okay, what will my life look like 5 years from now? And how do I grow this business with my kids? I realized that I would have to clone myself. And did I really want to give up time with my kids? And did I want to be married to my email? And that's when I became open to the idea of a side gig. And even though I had a ton on my plate with my children and business, I still said yes to bringing on a side gig. And I feel so fortunate that I did that, because now I feel like my beauty blog is better than it could have been because I can curate it. I can say no to opportunities. I can take a day off or go on vacation and actually not be obsessed with my cell phone, because the side gig allows me that additional income that runs itself. And I chose Rodan and Fields because as a beauty editor, I used to feature it all the time. It has a wonderful reputation amongst editors. I really believe in the efficacy of the product, and I've been asked by many brands to align myself with them. And to put my reputation on the line, my career that I've built to be a beauty expert, was a big deal to align myself with the brand. And so the fact that I chose Rodan and Fields just shows how strongly I truly believe in the product and the philosophy that the dermatologists have and where the future of the products and the business is going. But one other thing is that, bring on a side gig. Everyone says it's a good idea to do because you never know what tomorrow will bring. And unfortunately, my family recently had a major curveball thrown at us, and that was when my 6-year-old a few months ago was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And it really turned our lives upside down. It was very difficult for him, and still is, and required my husband and I to tend to him 24/7, which meant that my husband actually had to quit his job, and I had to put the Beauty Girl on pause. It basically went in the dark. And so for months, we just focused on our child. But the thing that really allowed us to do that was because I said yes to a side gig, in particular Rodan and Fields, which throughout these past few months, I'm so fortunate to say that my paycheck with Rodan and Fields, it never dipped a cent. If anything, the girls and the people that have rallied around me and my customers are still purchasing. And so it's really allowed my business to thrive even when I cannot be dedicated to it. So that's a little bit about myself, and I just wanted to pass it on now to national beauty educator, Heidi Bellerjo.
Thank you so much, Nicole. Thank you, thank you. And oh my goodness, what a pleasure and honor to be presenting amongst all of these beauty industry powerhouses and presenting to you. Just as Rose said, I am speaking to my peeps. I am speaking to those of you who have been in the trenches in the beauty industry. And for those of you perhaps that haven't, welcome. We are so glad that you're here. So yes, as Nicole mentioned, my past life, and I say it BC before cheering, I was the Director of Education for the Prescriptives Division of the Estee Lauder Company. So like Rose, again, I worked my way up within the industry. I worked at the prescriptives counter in college and then was promoted to an account coordinator. From there, I was a regional trainer and then ultimately based out of New York as the Director of Education for prescriptives. And I loved it. I mean, again, that was almost 15 years ago. And the industry was different. A lot of travel. It was fun. I mean, it was lipstick and mascara. It certainly wasn't brain surgery. However, once my husband and I started our family, the travel was overwhelming and honestly too much. I had a nanny the first year of my little boy's life, and I cried every single night that I was in a hotel room and on the road, and treasured the weekends at home, but I was missing so many moments. So Prescriptives offered severance packages to many on the corporate team, and I snatched it up and said, okay, it's time to say hello to peanut butter kisses and lollipop sticky fingers. And I said goodbye to that glamorous world. However, for any of you that have children or have maybe put your big toe in the stay-at-home mama world, Caillou and Dora and Diego were only doing so much for mama's brain, and I desperately needed something. I needed a sense of community, and I needed to use my brain again. And truly, I loved what I did. I loved training, I loved mentoring, and once a Cosmetina, always the Cosmetina. I missed it. So a mom on the playground mentioned to me, have you ever heard of Rodent and Fields? And she said, Rodent. I started laughing because you've heard a little bit of the history. I worked with Rodent and Fields when they were part of the Lauder companies, used the products, loved the products. So I thought, why not? This is beauty. It's products that I love. I can certainly share with people. I'm on Facebook all the time, anyhow, posting pictures of my kiddos. I can figure out how to incorporate some social media and social media training and have a little bit more fun with something I'm already doing. So I jumped right in. It was certainly a plan B for my family. My husband is a successful dentist, and I'm about to say was. Well, what happened to us, similar to Nicole sharing what's happened with her family, about a year ago, my husband suffered a detached retina. There aren't too many one-eyed dentists out there. So our plan B quickly became our plan A. And thank goodness I had that stream of income that I had been building over the years, because now my wonderful hubby has sold his 3 dental practices and he is home with me. We're homeschooling our children. We are traveling and we are living a life we never, ever dreamt that we would be a part of. And we thought John would be drilling, filling, and billing well into his 60s. So we're happy to say that thanks to this opportunity, that has changed. Thank you so much for listening to all of us tonight and having, as Nicole mentioned, an open mind. The one thing that I have to mention, because when I learned about the opportunity, I thought, oh no, I've looked at things. I've looked at other opportunities, and I could not see myself kicking the family out on a Tuesday night to host a party. The biggest epiphany for me was when I realized I did not have to do that. This is e-commerce. So all that I had to do was open my mouth, share a product that I loved, send people to my website, and then train and mentor others to do the same. So I'm not meeting anybody in a parking lot exchanging a check for an eye cream, and I'm not hosting a party on a Sunday afternoon. Now, a little leave the aging to wine and cheese might happen every now and then because that's fun and we get to choose how we run our business. So on that note, I'm going to say goodbye for a moment, and I am going to introduce you to the beautiful Regina Spolina. And Regina is a beauty publicist. So Regina, take it away.
Hi. So nice to be on here with everyone. I can't tell you how excited I am to be in such great company. When I first joined, I was looking forward to the day that I could share the stage with other people in my industry that could see the potential, and I feel that day is here. So my name is Gina Spolina, and I'm coming to you from Massapequa, New York, which is about an hour from Manhattan. And like Heidi said, my background is in beauty PR. So I was a publicist in Manhattan for many, many years, focusing on beauty. I worked at a boutique agency for about 7 years, where I ended as the VP of the beauty division, working on a variety of healthcare and beauty clients over the years. And then I went in-house and worked for one of my favorite clients at the time, which was a Fortune 500 company doing global product PR and also helping to manage their celebrity alliances. So anytime the company got a celebrity on board, I helped global markets launch them, and then I managed that celebrity as well. And it was extremely exciting and challenging, but it was also very, very, very stressful. It was a lot of time. And because the media never sleeps, I never slept either. I always had my BlackBerry at the time on me, and then my cell phone, and I literally was never off, never. And so when I started my family, I had to take a closer look at what I was doing, because I was so laser focused on my career. I was so set on living in Manhattan and working in Manhattan and putting in my 40, 50 years until I reach the top of the corporate ladder. And that's what I was focused on. And obviously when I had children, that had to change. I had to take a look at how I was spending my week and my hours, because I really had no life outside of my job, as much as I loved it and loved what I did and loved the industry. So in a move I never saw coming, I ended up giving up my career, or putting my career on hold, shall I say, for a couple of years, had 2 children. And like some of the other ladies said, in that time, 2 things happened. 1, money, and 2, I needed some sanity back. So 2 kids, 3 years later, it was time to get back to work. But work wasn't as enticing as it was, and the way that I felt about it. I wasn't looking forward to the commute into Manhattan. I wasn't looking forward to the hours, to the stress, to the travel. I was doing a lot of global travel at the time. And so I started trying to figure out what I could do. And I even chatted with some PR girls, like, how can I get my foot back in this industry, back in this business? Because I knew I probably couldn't do it on Long Island. I needed to be in the city. And they said, Gina, pump the brakes, because first of all, my company was having major layoffs. And second of all, the other companies and the other PR girls that I talked to at the time, the first thing to go was the PR budget. Budgets were getting slashed, and PR was one of the first to go. And that was mostly because of social media. They didn't need the type of PR programs that they needed back in the day with social media on the rise. So it was looking pretty scary for me when Rodan and Fields fell into my lap. And I had never even tried the products. But thankfully, with my background, I recognized the doctors and the opportunity immediately. And when I really took a closer look, because trust me, no one saw this coming less than I did, working for a direct sales company. But when I really took a closer look at the business model, the brand recognition, the doctors that were backing it, the fact that they had already done it before me, I knew that I was onto something. And I did my research as well. The company, even at the time, was getting such incredible media impressions. We were in all the top major publications. I mean, I was checking it out because I knew that they were picking up speed. There were impressions everywhere. They were in all the major outlets, the most sought after publications. And I thought, this is incredible, because when I worked in PR, the companies that I worked for paid millions and millions in advertising. So it was nothing for us to kind of manhandle a little bit and try to get our products on those pages. And here they were, this company paying $0 in advertising and already getting millions of media impressions based on the products alone, based on the fact that these beauty industry experts were loving the goods. That was incredibly appealing to me, because not only did it mean big business for me, but it meant that it validated the products and it validated the brand for me. And when I really thought about the model and thought about how I could start getting paid, I mean, nobody ever paid me based on my media impressions or the type of, launch that I did for the brands that I did. It didn't matter if I tanked a launch or got millions in media impressions, I was paid the same. But here, I could jump into a business where all my efforts, all the ways that I successfully shared the products or successfully shared the business opportunities, I would get paid on that. So it was very enticing for me, and thankfully my career had given me enough confidence and enough education to know that I was making the right decision by partnering with this company that I knew would create a second billion-dollar brand. So now 2 years into my business, I was able to match my corporate six-figure salary, which I know is not always typical, but I was able to do that. Now I'm 5.5 years into the business, 3 kids later. And I'm so happy that I'm still able to be a part of an industry that I love, but also living a life that I love on my basically, I have more choices. I have more time. I have more vacation. I have a life. I have a life outside of it, but I still get to do something that I'm so passionate about. And I've gotten a chance to share this opportunity with thousands. And that really is the icing on the cake for me. That giving back part, I think that was something I was really missing. Although I loved beauty, it wasn't always as fulfilling as I wanted it to be. And the fact that I can share this opportunity now and merge that with my love and give other people a chance to have choices as well has been a game changer for me. And on top of that, the fact that I get to leave this business, this empire that I'm creating, that I get to leave this as a legacy to my children, is actually the most beautiful thing of all. So I really appreciate you listening in. I'm going to pass it now to one of the top dermatologists in Chicago, Dr. Karen Horn.
Hi, thanks so much. My name is Dr. Karen Horn, and I'm a dermatologist in Chicago. And the short story of why I joined Rodan & Fields is because I think I know a pretty good thing when I see it. And I wasn't interested in dealing with the regret by allowing it to pass me by. I just couldn't really come up with what I had to lose by giving it a try. So I jumped in. The longer story is by far the most compelling reason I joined relates to the ingredients. The multi-med several step regimens are a direct extension and very in keeping with my current practice style. The doctors who created this have taken tried and true clinical grade ingredients and created a structure where most people can succeed and see meaningful changes in their skin. Rodan & Fields has also allowed me to extend my reach to include people well beyond the 4 walls of my practice. And I'm beyond reassured as a dermatologist that customers and clients are improving their skin and developing great skin habits like daily sunscreen use, because Rodan & Fields is the brainchild of 2 dermatologists, not marketing gurus or chemists, who have years of clinical experience. Rodan & Fields has also allowed me to diversify my financial portfolio, as I can now earn even when I'm not in the office doing direct or even indirect patient care. And lastly, but possibly the most important thing, as a mom, the reward of residual income has enabled me to more quickly meet my personal financial goals without having to sacrifice family time. And I'd like to now introduce Nicole Wagner, who's a top makeup artist, who is also a Rodan & Fields consultant.
Hi, thank you so much, Dr. Horn. I am so grateful to be here amongst all of these amazing women. I'm listening to all of their stories and just in admiration and grateful to be on here amongst them. So my name is Nicole Wagner. I live in Portland, Oregon, and I built my own makeup company from the ground up starting in 2006. Became very well known and very successful throughout Oregon, and actually I have traveled all over the country teaching workshops to other makeup artists and being hired for weddings in all different states and countries. So it has been a whirlwind. I loved it. Honestly, I loved everything about my career, especially working one-on-one with women and helping them see and feel beautiful. But a couple of years ago, like you're hearing amongst, I love that we all have similar stories, you know, different pieces and different parts. But when I started my business, my first daughter was 1. And so it was very easy for me to work from home. You know, I could put on a cartoon for her while I did a trial run with a bride. And then I was gone on the weekends, and it was a great opportunity for daddy to spend time with them. My husband was a full-time student until 2009 in chiropractic school. And he did total 8 years of school. So it was crazy. And so I had to do something to earn money. My business grew and became much bigger than I ever anticipated. And my name became very well known. And for that, I've been so humbled and grateful. But around, let's see, Erica's 10 now. So my youngest is now 10 and my oldest is 13. About 4 years ago, they both became full-time in school. And suddenly it hit me really hard that I was home all week while they were at school, and then they were home and I was gone all weekend, and it broke my heart. I had already spent like 7 or 8 years gone every weekend. I got so tired of having to say to my daughters, I'm sorry, girls, mommy can't, I have a wedding. I'm sorry, girls, mommy can't, I have a wedding. Like many of these other ladies have said, I was tied to my phone. I was tied to my laptop. I was everything. Even when I got an assistant, it was email and contracts. I had, you know, up to 8 girls working for me under contract at a time. We were doing over 200 weddings a year. It was just crazy. And I was constantly flying by the seat of my pants. I was a hot mess. Even though I loved it, I was just crazy all the time, right? You guys understand. It's like so many balls to keep in the air. And yet tugging at my heart, I knew that all I really wanted to do was to be a mom. And I wanted to be present, and I wanted to be home with my babies. On top of that, about 5 years ago, I ended up getting chronically ill. So now I was worn out, tired, sick, in bed all the time, missing out with my children, too tired, had chronic pain down the right side of my body. So even doing weddings became hard because I couldn't stand there for 8 hours at a time. I could only stand for 2 hours. I made some really hard decisions and decided to downsize my business. I cut back on doing 80 weddings solo a year to about 35, but it wasn't enough. If I'm honest, it wasn't enough. I was tired, and I told my husband, I don't want to do this anymore. And he was like, I wish I could say, okay, but we need the money. Like, we just bought a house and we need the money. And I was like, I know. So 2015, after complaining about my skin, I was 36 and a half at the time. I'm 39 now. I hated my skin, and I saw my first Rodan & Fields photo pop up on Facebook. And you guys, and I'm sure many of you can understand this, the first thing that came to my mind was, no way, too good to be true. I work in this industry. Products constantly overpromise and then underdeliver. It takes so much to impress me. There's no way that that works that well. And the next day I saw another one. And the next day I saw another one. And it was eating away at me. I so desperately wanted to have results like I saw in these photos. I wanted it so bad. I wanted to believe that it was possible. So I went about finding a local consultant who's now my business partner and one of my best friends. And I realized that, hey, there was a 60-day money-back guarantee. So if these products didn't work, no big deal. I would just send it all back. And I had nothing to lose and everything to gain because I hated my skin. My makeup looked terrible sitting on my face to the point that my sweet husband kept telling me I needed to get new foundation. And I was like, it's not the foundation, honey. I'm almost 37 and it's my skin and I need help. But because of my health history, I was too afraid. Like Stacey said, I didn't want to do Botox. Like I was too afraid to do anything drastic. So like Jeanette said, I have been approached by every direct sales company in the beauty industry to sell because of my social media following and just because of my reputation and what I did. And I always shut it down with a no. No way. I've worked way too hard to build a flawless reputation to suddenly go around and become a salesperson. So that being said, I decided to make this big investment in all these products because again, it was the best deal and I had a 60-day money back guarantee. Well, you guys, here's the truth. Day four of using these products. And my husband literally walked up to me with eyes big and said, Nicole, your skin is changing. And I said, I know, this is crazy, right? Like, am I seeing things? He's like, oh no, it's changing. So weeks went by. He started commenting on my pores. He was telling me weekly, you guys, this was the best part that I never saw coming. He would just say, your skin is so pretty. Your skin is so pretty. You look so pretty. And I was like, oh my gosh, this itself needs to be bottled up and told to everybody. It was amazing. So after 6 weeks, I took my after photos. I put them side by side. I felt like I had 10 years back. I had regained so much confidence. And I didn't care if anyone was going to pay me or not. I was going to tell the world. So I jumped. I posted my pictures on social media. And it took off like wildfire. I don't think I sat down for about 6 months, if I'm completely honest. I'm not going to lie. I worked very hard. But in less than 18 months, I was making a 6-figure income. Last year, I passed my husband's income, which he's a doctor. He went to school for 8 years. I have, not going to lie, you probably don't know this about me, but I have 1 semester of college education. That's it. So lucky for me, I got a lot of street smarts and a lot of business savviness to help me be successful. But what this business has allowed me to do, you guys, I didn't work a single wedding last year. It was phenomenal. I spent the entire summer with my children. We could go anywhere we wanted. I never once had to say, sorry girls, I can't, mommy has a wedding. I love them so much. They are the light of my life. And honestly, my true calling, I have always known, was to teach and to motivate and to inspire and to bless women's lives that way. And now I have a team of over 500 women around Canada, US, and Australia, and I get to work with them every day, and I get to lead them and love them and help them see that they can take this opportunity and change their lives. I could talk about this for hours, but I'm not going to. One thing I do want to say is that I have been approached by a lot of people that say, well, Nicole, you're successful because you work in the beauty industry. Nicole, you're successful because you have a big social media following. And what I want to say to that is this. I have my personal Facebook, and then I have a personal Instagram, and I have a business Instagram. And where my large social media following was on my business Instagram. And I'm here to tell you that less than 10% of my business has come from that avenue. And the reason is because I never shared anything personal there. That was my business life and my business work. So I do get some business from that, but all of my success in business has come from the people who know me. And we are not the norm in this business. This business is not made up of a bunch of beauty professionals. This business is made up with about 1 or 2% beauty professionals and 99% wonderful, amazing, everyday women. Doctors, lawyers, dentists, stay-at-home mommies, dental assistants, retail, like everything else. And so if you are not in the beauty industry, don't listen to this and think that you can't do this, because you can. And if you are in the beauty industry, don't wait, just jump, and I promise you'll figure it out. So grateful that you guys are all here, excited for the vision that hopefully you will catch. And with that, I am going to turn it back over to Stacey.
Thanks, Nicole. So I just want to wrap up the presentation by asking all of you a question. What do you have in your 3 to 5 year plan that would allow you to condense a 30-year career? Okay, that's what Rodan & Fields is. Now, the things that we love about Rodan & Fields are pretty much, it checks all the boxes, okay? It allows you to have time freedom. It allows you to build a business that allows you to have financial freedom. We have an amazing community of some of the best and the brightest people, not just women, but men too. It gives us a purpose. We get paid by helping others get great skin, And we also earn a living by helping others build a business. So basically, Rodana Fields has cut out the middleman. Instead of paying the retailer, they pay you to help them expand points of distribution and help get the products in the hands of more people. And lastly, most importantly, it gives you security. You are your own boss, but the company does all the heavy lifting, and they provide you with all of the tools and support and training that you need to build a really successful business. So I want you to think about, if you pass up this opportunity, what will your life look like? And I know for me, I didn't want to look back and think I coulda, woulda, shoulda. I took a jump in like all of the people on this panel. Most of us said no for many years before we said yes to this because we thought we knew what this was. But it's not. Rodana Fields last year had become the #1 skincare company in America. You guys, Rodana Fields surpassed Estee Lauder, Lancome, and Clinique. And you know that they have held the top 3 positions for decades. But not just in prestige, we also surpass mass brands like Unilever, Procter & Gamble, and Johnson & Johnson. And we are the #1 fastest growing skincare company in the US. And so let me tell you, this train is moving full steam ahead, with or without all of us. We made the decision to jump on. So we hope that you heard something that intrigues you. Maybe it's that we don't carry any inventory. Everything ships right from the company to the customer. Maybe it's that we don't have to have house parties. Maybe it's that we have effective ingredients that really do change people's skin. Whatever it is, get back to the person that invited you to attend this event. Ask questions, find out more information, and determine if this could be exactly what you were looking for, or maybe something that you didn't even know you were looking for. And we hope to see you again. Bye-bye.